What's up, internet? My name's Seth and we are back again with some more Trove Geode. This is on the test server. Test server's offline. I gotta try and make a habit of doing that. I haven't been doing it in all of my videos, and I'm sorry about that. Oh, look, it's Merc with one of the new beautiful auras. Oh, and he got this PvP dragon. Man, these guys play Bomber Royale way too much. But anyways, today's gonna probably end up being a short video, most of all dedicated to you builders out there, because we've got some video effects blocks that are gonna be coming with Trove Geode. I don't know whether or not this is all of the video effects blocks, but that doesn't matter. We're gonna be taking a look at the more interesting ones. So first of all, my absolute favorite, Sakura leaves. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for these to be added into the game because I cannot wait to put them in Team Pixel under the Sakura trees. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. The way that these work is they're going to end up being invisible blocks, which I do have my criticisms towards that because, of course, it means that you're not going to be able to see these guys when you end up placing them down, unless you're going to end up having a very hard time getting them back, right? Or even just removing them. If you want to get rid of them, you're probably going to have to bomb the whole area. I wish that when you went into build mode, you could actually see where they were, but I guess you could kind of just do this and see, oh, there's a block right there, but it's just, I don't know. Anyways, it's really cool. I like it a lot. We've got, like, for example, there's one block right here in front of us, and they kind of have physics to them where you're not going to have to place down a million of these blocks to end up getting the effect to actually show. Because these Sakura leaves actually do kind of have physics. So you can see there's a block up there that's generating this one leaf that came all the way down to the floor, right? So of course there's going to end up being a certain height limit, I'm sure, before the video effects are going to end up fading. You can see this Sakura leaf block up here. By the time the leaves get down to the bottom, they end up actually disappearing. So that one would end up being a little bit too high, but it still is really, really cool. Ends up adding a lot of mood to the game. Players on console and even on PC, you're going to have to be very careful with these though, because they are going to generally be extremely taxing on the game. Like, your frame rate is just going to take a huge dip when you end up having all this stuff around. So I can totally see people even making like hub areas that are not only going to be very beautiful, but are going to end up being very taxing on your hardware. So then we got fog right here, which as we end up getting close and kind of over analyzing it, you can see that it's very just one straight line. You can kind of see this on the vertical axis. We got one straight line, and if I turn this way, we got another straight line going this way. So it's just, or horizontal axis is what I mean, but it's just whoop, whoop, and that's it. Just in a straight line. However, it does not mean that it isn't absolutely beautiful. I would actually prefer if the video effects were taken, instead of going this way, they would be whoop, flipped sideways, because then we could actually just see the video effects kind of cascading around the floor rather than looking straight down and not being able to see anything. You know what I mean? But I guess then it would end up having problems with this effect right here. And then otherwise, you know, you can end up using this to make like haunted house builds or dark cave systems and stuff like that, and it's really, really cool. I really, really like it. So if we get right over here, this is going to be where one of the video effects blocks is, and you can kind of see that the fog goes maybe about 3 blocks out before it ends up fading. You know, and of course the placement of the blocks is going to affect where the smoke goes, not necessarily with the Sakura leaves. I'm sure it is going to end up being pre-rendered petal drops, but it is still really, really cool. And again, I do really like the ramifications for how you can end up actually incorporating these into your builds. If you guys end up actually making some cool builds with all of this stuff, send me a tweet, let me know about it. You know, I could highlight it in a video or even just take a look at it myself, because I'm really interested to know about stuff like this, right? So now we've got some really cool blocks over here. This is going to end up being kind of spark blocks, and it's going to end up being kind of the same video effects that you see when you end up making the Dreadnought weak, right? And I think a lot of people that are building like either a giant mech or just building like a robotic area, like it's really cool that we actually have this one. Like, this one's really, really good. And then we got these nice sparkling blocks right here. These ones I really like as well, because these ones are very, very obvious that, oh, the block is right here. And because of it, you can end up building a magic house that's just made of all of these, and or even a maze with all of these, which obviously would end up draining the frame rate, but again, it could end up being pretty cool. I'm going to try and see if I can end up using it for like invisible bridges and stuff like that. Like, it kind of reminds me of Rainbow Road, you know what I mean? Like, it's or the Rainbow Bridge from Zelda Ocarina of Time. I just think it'd be really cool to kind of incorporate these into maybe even an obstacle course, or ooh, you could end up putting them into a PvP arena where it's kind of like a more difficult like platforming zone, where maybe you end up getting like a whole bunch of coins from a mini game event or something like that. I don't know. And then we've got the video effects from the Adventurine. You end up buying this thing for. You can end up getting this as stellar video effects on your character's helmet. Kind of weird that they ended up just throwing it into a video effects block, but I guess it's cool because you can end up making kind of a spiritual area. I'm going to end up using this whenever we put, like, you know, ghosts in the areas, like the, you know, in the Oriental zone that we have in Team Pixel. I could very easily see us using these guys right here, you know, combined with the fog and stuff like that. And then, you know, just more spark blocks and stuff. But then up here, this is interesting for sewers and stuff like that. Obviously, it looks a little bit more like acid or snot. You could actually use it on a giant. Maybe, you know, he's got nostril drool for a creature design or something. Or maybe you're crawling into the mouth of a giant dragon build, and then it's got kind of the slime dripping down or something like that. You know, like, oh, it's actually his mouth, right? Or what I'm going to use it on is the sewer system that we have in Team Pixel. Like, I'm really excited about all these things because I know where we can end up using them. But as you can see, like, look at this. We're getting massive frame rate problems when we're actually looking in the direction of these video effects. Like, it's like they're slowly just draining more and more frame rate as we end up looking at them. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. But then over here we got the nice disco video effects. So these I know lots of people are going to end up using. They actually look really cool. Like, you can use these for like that right there. That was very cinematic, perfect timing, right? We can use these you know, for epic scenes where you can end up using these, I think, in combination with the VFX blocks that mag rails trigger. You know, you go over the blocks, or you set up a mag rail path over the blocks, and then it ends up triggering an effect as soon as you end up stepping on them, right? But these, you're going to be able to put right into your cornerstone, right into your club world and stuff. Actually, I think can you put them in your cornerstone? What does it say about these bad boys right here? Place this block for some video effects. Okay, it doesn't say that it's club exclusive, so this is what it's going to end up looking like. You can kind of see that there is an actual visual representation of the item itself when you're placing it, but then it's just going to end up being invisible. But again, you know, you can end up doing some pretty cool builds with all this stuff, I think. So again, let me know what you all think about that. I think those video effects blocks are really, really cool. Now we're going to take a quick little sneak peek at some of the frameworks that are going to be coming with the Trove Geode update. Not all of them, because, you know, I don't have the resources to craft them all. But then on top of that, I want you guys to be able to discover it for yourself. This is kind of just a sneak peek, tip of the iceberg, get your attention on it to show you that, oh, we've got some cool stuff. So this is going to be one of the things that you can end up crafting out of the Trove Geode area. I like it. It doesn't really feel like the Geode area whatsoever, but you could very easily use this for like a temple. And also, obviously, you know, we got a nice arched roofs from the pagodas and stuff, and I think that it's so awesome that they've been doing all these nice little corners on the roofs and stuff. I hate to take credit for it, but I'm pretty sure Team Pixel's popularity and the fact that we ended up, you know, popularizing the Oriental builds in Trove, I think is kind of why they've been doing it with all these builds, right? Not necessarily that that's my doing. But what can I say? I always love Oriental builds in general. And of course, you know, through the years, we've kind of accumulated other people that have similar tastes. And especially right now, like, I really like when we ended up getting this new biome and everything like that. Like, it was so cool. It was my all-time favorite biome when we got the Forbidden Spires, right? Just because it was more towards that theme. But anyways, this thing right here, you can see for yourself. There's going to be different variations of it, though. So one of them's going to end up having, like, actual blocked walls. So kind of like this one right here. And you can kind of use this. It's got all 4 walls. There's another one that's got, like, a second floor and stuff like that. So you can end up kind of putting it all together and designing something very specific out of it, either designing it all layered on top of each other like a giant cake, and it's obviously going to end up having a pretty cool feel to it. But again, you know, it's kind of like they're all in this dark theme, and then we've got other ones like this, which is kind of a reference to the hub, you know, the normal Trove hub, where we've got the I don't even know what they call it in the lore. I don't really care. But we've got this character, you know, and then we got the Trovian Atlas underneath it. Give us Trovian Atlas and Club World devs. Come on. But I think it's cool that we actually got access to something like this. It is kind of neat. I would have actually preferred if we ended up having the same one from the hub rather than kind of a dumbed down version that we could easily just build ourselves. But hey, at least, you know, you can use this very easily. I could see, like, you know, Cubed Reality, who ends up building stuff like this a lot. It's one of my favorite clubs on PC. They've got amazing builders. But I could see them using these frameworks a lot and kind of tweaking them into their own, like, versions. But honestly speaking, builders at that level probably are just going to build it themselves because it's all custom at that point. But then these are really cool. I love these things. The more alien things that are kind of going to end up being what we are most likely going to end up getting in U10, right? But we've got like kind of these alien type of like mushrooms and stuff. And there's like a red one. There's other ones that are like, it's like a giant tentacle coming out of the ground, which is red. You know, it's a giant red tentacle, which is cool, but doesn't really fit with that many builds, you know. But anyways, this one right here, I really like it. I think that if you ended up putting this in a night biome or something like that, the glowing blocks could end up having a bit more of an ominous feel to them, which would end up being very cool. And also just this color palette can end up going with so many things, and you can end up building like a giant mushroom kingdom, no pun on Nintendo, or build houses on top of the mushrooms and stuff like that, which is really cool. And then we got this right here, which last but not least is what we're going to be checking out, which is just, I don't know, kind of a temple that looks more like it's candy oriented. These eyes we ended up putting into it, obviously. But I like this. I would actually like it if this crystal was a framework all to itself, because I love the idea, like this is one of the first things that I ended up doing with my cornerstone back when I started playing Trove years ago. And I ended up, you know, I love the idea of kind of using like crystals, like Final Fantasy does, where crystals are kind of the excuse to add not only magic, but technologies. So a lot of things that Final Fantasy would end up doing with these things is they would use a crystal to have kind of a more futuristic type of thing, like a car in a fantasy world, right? So we could end up using this, you know, I always like using them in builds because it's like, I would use this in my Oriental style, you know, of building, and then we could use it to end up making like floating islands or something like that, rather than them just randomly, oh, there's a floating island up there. How is it up there? Crystals, good sir, you know. But anyways, the build itself, you know, the tree doesn't normally generate. It's just because I threw it on the ground and there just happened to be a tree there, right? But you could kind of have this as a little bit of a sumo arena, maybe something like that. I could see you building, you know, you could end up building like your portal room here, or just having this even as a general hub area. Obviously, you'd have to make it look a little bit better than this because it's quite plain, but it still is really neat that they ended up giving us access to these things. But anyways, that's the video effects blocks are the thing that I'm most excited about because I already know where I'm going to end up using those. All these other frameworks, it's like, they're cool, but I still just want all the frameworks that we already know is in the game's code. Like a lot of the dungeon generation that we have in the game, including that gigantic 3-star dragon dungeon in the Forbidden Spires biome, those are actually frameworks that are already in the game. I want access to those bad boys. I want to be able to throw those in my club world rather than having to rebuild them myself. Actually, no, that 3-star dungeon isn't in the frameworks. It's the Jade Dragon dungeon. That one's in the frameworks, right? So yeah, like those are items that are in the game's code, meaning that it's there, but they haven't given us access to it yet. So they're probably holding it off until a future update, which means most likely they're just never going to give it to us because that future update is probably going to end up being canceled in the wake of some other content that they're going to be focusing on, right? Because as we know, unfortunately, these developers are focused on the next new thing rather than redefining current content, unfortunately. Well, fortunate or unfortunate, pick your poison, right? But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Very much appreciate it. Hope that you're as excited about these building things as I am. Most of all, the video effects blocks, I'd say be careful of them. They're going to be crazy for frame rate, especially on console. But I do still think that it is exciting that they're being added. Don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe for more daily content. And if you want to support me, you can always sponsor my YouTube channel or check links in the description for my merch store, as well as Gawkbox, which is a way that you can donate to me for free. Sign on and stay happy, everybody.